This is Papa Smurf. You're listening to Our Lifestyle, the podcast, with ODB and the Mayor.
Yo, it's ODB. We're getting ready to roll into episode 241, but I did want to just stop for a moment and wish all of the awesome dads out there a happy Father's Day this weekend on June 20th. Kick back, relax a little bit, get you a cold drink, whatever you're into, and do what you do, whether it's relax, get out, work on something, or go to a show. And we just want to say thanks for all the support. Let's go ahead and roll into this episode. Happy Father's Day to all the great dads out there. And if your dad's still here, show him some love. Are you high yet or no?
Oh, I'm high as a fucking kite, brother.
Yo, it's Our Lifestyle Podcast, a.k.a. OLP. Thanks for rocking with us. It's episode 241, and we're coming in hot. We got so much to talk about, but first we got M.I.C, the Gallivanting Man, Mayor. When are you dropping the debut album, the Gallivanting Man?
I'm just a gallivanting man.
Well, dude, I think you're really picking up, man. You know, avid listeners, maybe last month or last episode, you know, heard you singing at the beginning, man. I didn't know you had it in you. Well,
hey, you asked me a question earlier, and right now I'm as high as a motherfucker.
That's Afro Man's song. I got high. But
so high.
Dude, Mike, I'm so excited about this episode. It's you know, there's a lot of good stuff to talk about, and I do want to remind everyone that we literally are getting close to one of our favorite shows. It's a custom car show production event, and it's going down in Biloxi. We've talked a lot about this one, and I had to reinforce to myself. I was like, wait a minute, we're a couple weeks away. No, we're 1 week away, so next Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, we're going to be in Biloxi for Scraping the Coast, 19th annual event. If you are a part of our official OLP calendar, which you can subscribe to through ourlifestylepodcast.com, you can subscribe to it on your iPhone or Android. You'll see that there's going to be the reminders set 1 week before. Of course, you've got the Facebook link to the Scraping the Coast page, as well as scrapingthecoast.com. Come on out, rock with us. But Mike, on this one, dude, I mean, you know, when I get excited about a guest, you know, I talked with you earlier this week, man, and the audio that we got done with Steve Vandeman, dude, I'm so excited to bring this one. I know many know his name, some may not, but dude, Mike, it's a fun one.
Dude, it's an absolute home run. Knock that mother out of the park, and you know, hats off to you. You know, pulling this one again, and dude, the stories, you guys are gonna love these old school stories that you're about to hear when you listen to this interview. You definitely you know, don't want to miss it. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's a great time. So we'll, of course, have that audio, and then we have the homie Adam Tripp from The Spark Show. Got a short segment with him that he'll kind of lead off our key show updates. Of course, we're excited about being at The Spark Show. That is in August up in Sevierville, Tennessee. Highly suggest you pull out your iPhone or Android, go to Google Maps, my favorite Maps app, other than Waze. I use Waze, but if I want a map, I kind of go Google Maps. If I want directions, I go Waze. But, of course, that event is going down, and that's the 13th, 14th, and 15th. Adam will talk about it. Now, this episode overview is brought to you by our family at Graphics Mafia. That's graphics with an X, graphicsmafia.com. If you're looking for stickers, decals, many of you are adding your Instagram or, dare I say, Snapchat handle via a vinyl sticker to your truck or your car. They could take care of all of that, including wraps. Mike, they're great people, right?
Dude, absolutely. I tell you what, I needed some stickers for Eastbound Get Down. And so I reached out, and it's like, hey, I need these by this weekend. I'm going to be working the Street Trucks booth. And
wait. So, you're going to be working the streets?
Well, the corners. If I'm going to call it the corners, we don't call it the streets. You know, call it the corners. This time I was actually working the Street Trucks booth, and I got my American flag bathing suit, and I was ready to rock and roll. So, we were good to go. For some reason, they wouldn't let me on stage, during the bikini contest, but that's okay.
Yeah, but
I know. But dude, I was hotter. I was hotter than most of those girls that were up there, though. I mean, and God forbid, we already knew one of the American Force girls was going to win it anyway. So I don't even know why they bothered having it.
Well, if you ever listen to the Way Down Yonder on the Chattahoochee, it gets hotter than something, right, Mike?
Hotter than a hoochie coochie.
Yeah, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, they were trying to ban gangster rap. I mean, dude, he was more gangster with that than anyone I know. But in all seriousness, big ups, graphicsmafia.com, Instagram, of course, TikTok as well. Love the videos that they're doing. But, Mike, let's transition into the scene updates. And, listen, we talked a little bit about our big homie, Greg Miller. I know there's not a lot of updates. Some of you guys are seeing updates kind of real time through social media with his family. All I can say, Mike, is continue to pray for the homie. This is typically his busiest time of year getting ready for STC, also known as Scraping the Coast, and saying my prayers, thinking about him a lot. He loves the scene, and I know that he appreciates all the support from everyone, Mike.
Absolutely, and staying in contact with Lauren, and just asking her, how's it going, and he had a rough day. We're recording here on Tuesday, and he actually had a rough day today. They had a little bit of a setback, but at the same time, he's having his good days. He's having his bad days. He's having his good times. He's having his bad times. So definitely just keep those prayers going, because hey, he's still going, and so there's no reason why the power of prayer can't bring him through this, and so he can be back there, at the saddle, on stage, giving out those awards and shaking those hands and kissing those babies. So definitely keep those prayers coming for our boy Greg Miller.
Real deal, Holyfield. No, Mike, it's not easy to transition off of that. The one thing you kind of hinted there, we had awesome opportunity. We went out to Daytona this past weekend. There was this event there, and we had such a good time. We partnered with Street Trucks, Mike, and dude, you talk about hotter than something, like you said earlier. Man, it was hotter than one of those. But, Mike, when you partner with, like, Nicole and Chris Hamilton and our homie Josh, dude, great people. Ain't that right, Mike?
Well, this was my first time meeting Josh, and yeah, what a great guy. And of course, Chris and Nicole, just we did the damn thing, man. And we went there. We definitely presented well, and I think we definitely got something to be talking about here in the near future. So, well, I think you can go ahead and let a little cat out of the bag. What will we have at Scraping the Coast for sure?
Well, at Scraping the Coast, we're going to give you a little bit of a sample, and if you come by and you make a purchase, we have a free giveaway while supplies last. It's something pretty cool. It's definitely something of value. And, of course, we're going to give out as many as we can. It does tie into Street Trucks. And we think next week we'll drop the episode a little bit early and we'll have a couple more tie-ins. We don't want to give away too much, Mike. The main event is next week. But to Mike's point, you'll be able to come by in the Freon Poisoning, a.k.a. air conditioning, there at the Coliseum. You'll have a couple of cool trucks to look at. You'll have the OLP booth. We're going to have some brand new products, but we're also going to have a giveaway while supplies last for every purchase. So come by, buy some stickers, hats, decals, metal signs, you name it, we got it. And thanks to all of our vendors and suppliers like Graphic Disorder for continuing to make this an easy journey for us, really a fun journey. But to your point, Mike, getting back to Daytona, first time I got a chance to go to one Daytona. I know that's a big kind of destination after even the rod runs and things like that. It does seem now that we're full steam ahead, getting kind of back to normal. And it was a big event and just had a great time. I got a chance to see Street Trucks' Artemis build, and if you go out on YouTube and you look through their recent videos, they posted, obviously some cool stuff with it. But, Mike, just a real good weekend, man. It was good seeing you, bro. No,
absolutely. Always good hanging out. Actually, I got a phone call from our buddy Ryan over at ProFab Florida, and he said he got to hang out with you a little bit. And he let the cat out the bag and said that, why he was working on the, you call it the banana hammock, why he was working on, Bright as Hell, Gone Postal, whatever everybody wants to call it. You told him to go ahead and chop the damn roof.
Damn, man. I thought, no. He's got it twisted. He was telling me when I ran into him, he goes, I've been listening to the podcast. He goes, that list that you've got, that little database of the stuff. He goes, dude, I got some ideas. And I go, well, can we work these out? And he said, dude, he goes, bro, like he didn't even want me to share them on air. And I guess he let one out of the bag, but I told him, I said, dude, don't let Mike try to cop out. He's got to ramp these mods up, at some point.
Oh, absolutely. No, I definitely got to. And I do believe here in the near future, I think the gold wing doors is what we're gonna do first, the first mod.
Excellent. Now we're cooking, man. Yeah, right in the profile.
Put some a set of T-tops on it and put the Firebird on the front, on the hood.
Yeah, and if you ever watch Knight Rider, the kit had that ejection seat. So like, let's say you're pissing Shannon off, she could push the button and Kit will eject it. Eject you out like 20 feet in the air. It kind of be cool, man. Almost like a trampoline.
That would be pretty dope. I ain't gonna lie.
But seriously, thanks to Street Trucks, you can go out on Facebook or YouTube and you can watch some of the live streams. Now I don't know how long that stuff stays out there. I think on YouTube it'll kind of live out there a little bit longer. Now I know some of you might see some of it and go, that's not my cup of tea. We check in with people like at Bedwood. We talk about a couple of the key folks like Holly, like Beltec, and the fine folks there. But we also get a chance to meet some people. There were some mini trucks out there, so I got a chance to slap hands with some of the guys down south. And one of the homies brought the Colorado out, and we saw it at Orange Beach Invasion before, the crew cab that's laid out, the black one. Got a chance to run into Boogaloo Van, Josh Wheeler, the OG. Of course, Keg Media was out there. He partners with Orange Beach Invasion. Jason from American Force. And as we mentioned, Mike and a lot of good kinfolk. So thanks to everyone that came by the booth. And most importantly, we're starting to kind of get any bugs that we've had in the past worked out. So it will allow us to ramp up. Now, I don't know what's going to happen with the schedule for the rest of the year, but Mike, if all goes well, we may be under Vegas, under the lights a little bit later this year, and that would allow us to be out at the Mini Truck Hall of Fame. There's going to be more announcements coming with that, and I think because of the event canceled last year, it's going to allow for those folks to be inaugurated, I believe is the pronunciation, allow them to kind of get their due, rightfully so.
Oh, without a doubt. Because they definitely deserve it, and I see it coming, and they definitely are not gonna let it go without putting those guys in there and give them their proper send into the hall.
Real deal. Now, from a print standpoint, we gotta thank our family at All Time Low magazine. They've worked a lot of hours to get this issue out. And we have started to see in social media leading up through this week, I think we mentioned last week that they were going to ship. And if you go to atlmagazine.com, you can buy a copy. Now, under magazines, you're going to see that basically they have a 6-month subscription. Everything kind of in the world has kind of went up in prices, so you'll see that there. You get 6 issues, but issue number 28 is $20. And really amazing quality. I think you'll be blown away when you get your hands on one. But, of course, as we mentioned last week, we've got the awesome Sketchy fam out there. And it's just a good issue. Now, Mike, I haven't received mine yet, so I'm looking forward to it. And then we'll, of course, go through it in depth as we always do.
Oh, of course, absolutely. And, just like you, I have not received my copy yet either. So definitely look forward to seeing that one because I see a bunch of people posting as we speak. They're receiving them, so they are definitely on the way, my friend.
Yes, sir. Now, from a social standpoint, there were a couple things I saw, and we'll kind of keep this episode. We're going to kind of keep this one based upon our timeline a little bit tighter. I know it seems like we always say that, and then we kind of go long, but we are going to keep some of these segments down a little bit. I wanted to mention that Hot Rod Christina, she had recently been our guest as a woman for All Time Low magazine, speaking of ATL. And I think it was the last, not the current issue, maybe the one before that. And I apologize, they kind of all run together in my head. But she recently put out some artwork for Seductive's show in September of this year. So it looks really awesome. You can find her Hot Rod Christina with a K, Hot Rod Christina on Instagram. And she did some cool stuff, so I wanted to share that. And then, Mike, looking on the good old book face, I thought it was pretty cool that Chad Luke is proudly displaying in his awesome garage. Chad Luke's one of the best dudes you'll ever meet. He was displaying the Get Decked OLP Minis on the Rise Award, but he also had the Hammered Weekend Wear Award. So he's racking them up, cracking them up, stacking them up against the gates like the famous Warren G song. Dude, man, I want to move in that garage, dog.
I tell you what, that garage is probably one of the baddest damn garages in our scene. I mean, that thing is badass. Not only has he got badass bikes, but then he's got all the damn skate decks, and then of course he's got that badass Toyota parked in the garage as well. So you can't go wrong with that damn garage. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you can. And man, it just proves you don't have to have the biggest garage in the world to have the baddest garage in the world. I love it. With the floors the way they're done, the wood on the inside there, kind of some of the walls, especially the back wall. But then he also has some of the galvanized type steel. I call it corrugated metal, and then of course all the amazing skate decks. He's actually helped me get one that I've always wanted, and he took care of that when I was out at Sicknick. I think it was a couple years ago. So Chad's a good dude. And Mike, I'm already getting ready to post. I've been looking back at his truck at Scraping the Coast 6 years ago. So I'm looking forward to doing some comparison posts. I mean, some things have changed in the past 6 years with Chad's truck.
Just a little bit. I tell you what, though, things have definitely changed, but I tell you what, he owes a lot to his friends, especially, he's got some really good friends that helped him get that truck to the point that it is today. And so, hats off to Chad and all his buddies that helped him get that truck to where it is. So it definitely is one badass crew cab. And look forward to seeing Chad and his truck at Scraping the Coast here next weekend.
Real deal. And I saw Billy Bob, of course, the Billy Bob podcast. Good dude. He said, a friend pushed me to enter the Datsun in the Hot Wheels Legends Tour contest, step 1 down. Guess we'll see what happens. So you've been approved to display at the virtual Hot Wheels Legends Tour. So pretty cool stuff. Minis on the Rise, of course. So big ups to the homie. But those were some of the items. We got a couple more we'll share here in the Airhead Nation updates, but those are some of the key things we wanted to share this week. And we couldn't do what we do without fine folks that get behind our cause. And we just want to thank Garage Gear Clothing for the continued support. We tell you time and time again, you can visit garagegearclothing.com. They're, of course, on Facebook. They're on Instagram. But really where you're going to get the most money, the most bang for your buck, and it's free content, folks, TikTok and YouTube. They've got a ton of subscribers on the rise. And, Mike, there's a shipping charge on all of their orders on garagegearclothing.com, but I kind of forgot what it might be.
Well, Jay, you can't say there is a shipping charge because if you're so if you live anywhere in the United States, it is absolutely free, and that's only at garagegearclothing.com.
Yes, sir. Thank you, man. Well, the key show updates. Let's go ahead and roll in here with some audio from the big homie Adam Tripp from the Spark Show. He'll lead you in with a little bit of information about 2 months away, give or take, from this event. Hey, as Miggity Mike the Mayor and I just mentioned, we're going to roll in here with some audio with the homie Adam Tripp. How you doing, homie?
What's going on, Jay?
Not much, dude. We're excited about the Spark Show. We've been talking about it obviously listeners, avid listeners, last couple years we went up to Sevierville, Tennessee. Dude, what a freaking blast. We kid a lot about some of the stuff that went down, but dude, why don't you give us I know you're probably itching to maybe share some of the key high-level stuff, maybe the dates, reinforce some of that. I know you got some of the new artwork out, but, what would you share from us from a show promoter standpoint?
Man, I definitely appreciate the kind words on that. Last year, I know we had a blast, even with the whole pandemic thing. Everything was kind of weird, but definitely looking forward to the 8th annual, man. I can't believe we've been doing this 8 years. But yeah, this year, August 13th through the 15th, Sevier County Fairgrounds, same location. We're pumped, man. We've got tons of new stuff going on, and tons of pre-registrations, more pre-registrations than we've ever had any year. It's wild. We've got a ton of great quality coming out. We are pumped.
I know you're always excited about really kind of the family atmosphere that you have. You have kinfolk, as I call them, travel from all around different states to converge upon Sevierville, Tennessee. Now, let's say you got someone that doesn't know the area very well. Obviously, they can go on Google Maps, like I tell people, and just type in, or Sevierville is a little tough to spell, so I always, click on the little microphone, and I'm like, Sevierville, Tennessee, right? Pronunciate it like that, and then boom, it's going to pop up. But what would you tell someone that's going to travel in, or maybe they're on the fence about coming to your town?
Yeah, exactly. So Sevierville is definitely the lesser of the known cities right there, but it's right beside Pigeon Forge, Gatlinburg area, big tourist area, tons of stuff to do, tons of shopping. There's a big water park resort called the Wilderness that is literally right down the road, on the same road as we are, with a brand new water park that just opened up called Soaky Mountain. So if you're looking for either of those, you want to maybe do a quick vacation, water park. I know Ron Perkins said he was a huge water park fan. He might be hitting one of those up before the show. We might have to have Hank run the booth or something. While he's there.
Yeah, Hank will. Yeah, no, that's good stuff.
Yeah, great area to be in. In and out of the show. We always have good eats after the show, and definitely good eats during the show. But right off exit 407 off Interstate 40, can't miss it. Just right down the road.
Well, we should have started with this, but how excited are you about? You recently, in the last year or so, you made a shift over to graphic disorder. We tell people all the time it can take, elevate your show, your business, your brand really to the next level. Graphicdisorder.com. Love Brant, Eric, Shelly, all the kinfolk up there. But how excited were you? I think it was just this week that the news broke of the new artwork.
That is the best way to put it. Graphic Disorder has absolutely elevated everything about the Spark Show, in my opinion. And I love everybody that helps out, but to have somebody that can develop this artwork, I mean, it's like they pull it right out of my brain. I'm like, this is what I want, and then they put it on paper. You've got our first design that came out for this year with Ashley Wimmer's S10. We got the Bears tossing their cornhole. The great design looking like the old VHS cassette tapes, for the flyers and everything. Did a killer job. And then with the newest design this week, with Corey Floyd's white OBS and Dustin and Michelle Boone's sign-on, with the pink flamingos driving. That's the shirt we call the Pink Floyd. And we are going to have some of those available at the show, but pre-order is live on those at the website. And you can go and get your size and color, because we'll probably only have like one color of those shirts at the show. But that is on the website, thesparkshow.bigcartel.com.
Excellent. And, of course, one of my favorite ways to keep up with info is The Spark Show on Instagram. Of course, got the underscores. You can also tap on following, and you can also tap on, and kind of turn on post notifications, which I think is really important. If you particularly love a show or a brand, you can kind of just go and do that, which is pretty awesome. But the link is there also in Instagram. Big ups to Michelle Boone and, of course, Corey Floyd, great people. So great choices there. Now, when folks come into Sevierville for the Spark Show, they obviously are going to find a lot of kind of southern places to eat and just a lot of good kinfolk. The hotels are very close and whatnot. But let's say someone is going, I've been cooped up in my state and now I'm ready to rock and roll. It's the summer. What should people know about the city? Any other things you want to reinforce about maybe where to stay with the host hotels and whatnot?
So we've got the host hotel, which is the Econo Lodge. I know some people last year said that it was a little rough because they're doing some reconstruction. All that is complete. Much easier to get into this year. So there are a host hotel. I know that you can get on to the website, or if you have the flyer, all the information's there on how to book, and they do have a show rate specific. But there's tons of places to stay right around there, literally, 5 minutes from the show. Of course, I've got people, I know big clubs like renting cabins up in the mountains and things like that. So that would be, hotel or stay area. But talking food, you're coming in. The one thing I have to mention is Friday night's pre-party. You've got Malloy's Tacos that is going to be sponsoring the pre-party as always. And he's going to have a brand new taco this year just for Spark Show, as he always does. And he's going to be feeding us all night long. And then out throughout the weekend, we've got Malloy's coming back with tacos. We've got barbecue coming out. We've got peas nuts. We've got great food at the show. And then there's tons of places to eat right around there, too.
Oh, yeah. And I want to say we went to a barbecue spot locally and just, had a good time there and got some good food. Now, the other thing that's underrated is the hop, skip, and a jump away over the mountain, right? Not to grandma's house or whatever. But when we went, I know it's kind of like an iDrive, is the way Mike always explains it. But when you go over to, is it Pigeon Forge, right? You've got the whole family atmosphere. So, like, let's say you got the family coming in with the kids. You guys can gallivant over there and do go-kart racing, food, all sorts of kind of iDrive type themed deals, right?
Absolutely. If you're not familiar with the area, there's something for everybody out there. Burger joints, Mexican restaurants, whatever you want out there. Go-kart races. You've got the laser tag, all kinds of rides and things. Not to mention things like Dollywood and some of the big stuff that's out there. But the big thing too for Saturday night is, kind of like Mike said, it is a great long flat stretch of road that last year we had a great fleet doing an awesome cruise, and we will be doing a cruise this year after dinner on Saturday night. And I cannot wait to have everybody out there cruising safe. We got to be a little bit careful. We can't be acting a fool, but we're going to have a good time cruising the strip again, like old Mini Nats days.
Yeah, brother. Now, we got a few more minutes, and I wanted to just kind of pick your brain on the awards, right?
Sure.
So, most of us, we know we don't go to shows for awards, but that is an intricate piece, love it or hate it, of an event, right? You've got really top-class vehicles coming from all over. I remember seeing the Bug out there and so many different vehicles like Daryl Poe and Nikki's, the S10, right? But what would you want to do in terms of, like, with the awards? Anything you want to share there?
We have got partnered up, as always, with Welch's Chop Shop to help us out with all of our CNC, laser cut metal awards. We love using Welch, and he's going to help out with the top 40. And then we've got 15 specialty awards that are 1,000% unique this year. We've never done anything like this. We've got a brand new painter coming on with Flea's Color Factory. Okay, he's a local guy. He's been to SEMA, countless awards. His garage is amazing. But these are going to be one-off awards that you're going to want. I know not everybody comes out for the awards, but I do put a lot of pride into these and making sure these are top-notch because, I want to give credit to those that have worked their butt off all year for these. So, let's praise these rides. You're going to get a cool award. So Welch's Chop Shops, cut those. Flea's Color Factory's painting them. And we're going to have something for everybody out there.
Excellent, dude. And I know we couldn't talk about the Spark Show without one of your brothers, Dizzy. He is a big driving force. I know he partners well with you guys, and he helps really promote it. Why don't you give Dizzy a big shout-out, homie?
Absolutely. If you see something on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Dizzy is the one that is posting it up. Couldn't do this without him, without our entire family's help. With that. So like you said before, it's Kim folk, you got family all over, but literally have family that runs the entire show. And we pride ourselves on that. We're not some big corporation. It is a family run show. and we want to keep it that way always, and we're going to keep doing it. Mentioning family, we got somebody that comes all the way from the Midwest. You will have DJ Mays spinning tunes all weekend long, Friday night through Sunday, and he'll be helping me out. So we love having him come out too. But I do believe in the newest issue of All Time Low, DJ Mays and Dizzy had a nice little selfie there.
Hells yeah, man. Yeah, we love All Time Low magazine, atlmagazine.com, and they're always going to be at all your events as well. And that's pretty awesome, dude. And, I concur. Just a great guy. We've got to work on this new, like, maybe Biggity Mike the Mayor, maybe a 3.0 sticker. We've got 1 and 2 kind of sold out. Prices are skyrocketing, I heard, on eBay. But, I tell people, hang on to them. You just never know. They could go up some more. I know Mike loves it. But, man, so we talked a little bit about, reinforce the dates again for us.
So August 13th, 14th, 15th, we got the Friday night pre-party. We're going to start. Show does open Friday 9, and then we'll go into the pre-party around 6 until whenever ODB decides to pass out from all the cornhole he's playing. And then Saturday 8 to 5, Sunday 9 to about 1 is when we'll do awards. Make sure everybody can get home safe for those long drives.
Yeah, real deal, man. It's going to be awesome. It's the Spark Show, Sevierville, Tennessee. For many of you, the listeners, it's kind of a hop, skip, and a jump away. I know the homie Mini Truck Matt, he loves going out to that one as well if he can, and just a lot of good people. Nathan Coker, I remember he did that awesome award a couple years ago, and there's just a lot of good people there. The venue's easy to get into, easy to get out, and as you mentioned, Adam, a great family atmosphere. And to you, the friends, family, everybody that helps, except for those guys that are always talking smack about the corn toss. You know what I mean? I might have to come in there this year and really just, do a top rope deal, and throw them around a little bit. But, I mean, you just have to turn your back so that you don't see any of the, the little shenanigans. You know what I mean?
Well, Corey Floyd's always talking smack about he is the grand champion of all things cornhole. And I don't know that we're going to have to let him allow him to play this year. I mean, he, Flop Shots is bringing custom cornhole boards that you could win Friday night, but I don't know if we should let Corey play.
Yeah, I know, dude. I agree. We might have to pull in like a sanction. Like we'll have to get Dizzy to make the rule book. Like maybe he could. I don't know. I heard he's kind of good with the Photoshop stuff. Maybe he could do something like the official rule book of the Spark Show. Kind of like Mike's tick marks, in his binder. I mean, his employee binder is really all over the road. I don't know if he's going to get any pay this year, but I know Dizzy will come up with something at least for the official sanctioned book of the Spark Show. We need the rule book. You know what I mean?
You got to have rules. I mean, come on. But if Dizzy's making them, that may be a really short list.
Right, it might be. Well, for all my Rad fans out there, the 1986 Colt Classic, Krew wasn't going to be allowed to race because he didn't have a sponsor of at least, I think, $50,000. So, the rule books always come in, and, they can sometimes put a frown on the day. But, we're going to have a good time at the Spark Show, even though the drive for me is, I forget, maybe 12 to 14 hours, something like that. I always enjoy making it, even if I roll up solo, man. I put on some podcasts, some music, and I gallivant on up to the mountains. And, Adam, again, thank you so much for continuing to throw a new show. By today's standards, you're definitely a veteran. And thanks for also going to other events. We've seen you out and about, and we really appreciate you as a show promoter doing that, homie.
Means a ton coming from you. I appreciate being called the veteran on that. But, yeah, we'll definitely be out at shows. We got East Tennessee Showdown coming up. You got Scraping the Coast, Southern Tradition. Support, all my friends and family that are doing shows around here and everywhere else. So, yeah, definitely go to all the shows you can out there and support everybody.
The hashtag, you can check the hashtag The Spark Show for more. You can see some of our photos. That's the main overarching hashtag that we've used in the past. You can check all that out. But Adam, on behalf of Miggity Mike the Mayor and I, we're going to jump back into the episode, and I'm going to call Mike now, and we're going to continue on our show.
Appreciate you guys.
Have a good one, brother. Peace. All right, dude. So, hey, Adam, thank you so much, Mike, dude. What a class act, brother.
Dude, definitely one of the good guys in the scene. And him and his family, they all, bust their asses to get us, to put on the Spark Show. And he's got a good group of guys that are over there and family that are over there that help him do what they do to make the Spark Show a show that you definitely should not miss and you should want to be at year after year.
Yes, sir. Now, if you want to go back and you really want to take a deep dive, the last episode we went through all these shows kind of like we looked at 2021 as, hey, what's the second half? You watch the Super Bowl, you get the first half, you get the second half. Well, we're fitting to roll into that second half, man. You know what I'm saying, Mike? We better get the players in the locker room and like really round up the troops, man. We're down by 15 here. You know what I'm saying? We got to get some TDs, we got to get some field goals, we got to score some points, and you're going to score some points in the OLP binder, in your OLP binder, by going to some shows. And we kid around all the time, but you basically have Scraping the Coast next weekend. 2 weekends after that, Southern Tradition. That's the 10th of July. And then you have Camp and Drag 2021, which is the Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That's July 16th through the 18th. Okay? Boom. 2 weeks after that, you've got Relaxin' in the Northwest, The Awakening. That's July, of course, the 28th. I think technically, I'm saying the 29th, but if you look at the flyer, it's the 28th through the 1st. And that is Relaxin' in the Northwest, The Awakening. Now, I am scheduled to go up, so I'm looking forward to that. Come down and rock with us. Again, if you get on to subscribe to ourlifestylepodcast.com, you can click on the left side, the official OLP show calendar, and all these dates are in there. I've got hyperlinks in there, typically to Instagram, Facebook, and or their website, which is theawakeningshow.com. Now, Mike, a week after that, you basically have Slamboree, which is also the same weekend as Down for Dennis, which is Slamboree's the 6th, 7th, and 8th, and then Down for Dennis is August 7th. A week after that, the Spark Show, so you just heard the homie Adam talk about it. And then boom, a week after that is Attitude Check 9, Mike, and I know Joey at Get Decked is such a good dude. His show's up and coming. It's on the rise. I say up and coming. I mean, he's kind of a vet at this point, right? 9 years in. But
yes.
It's hard to get, find a better dude than Joey out there, really hustling.
Oh, you ain't lying there. And I tell you what, one thing that I definitely wanted to talk about is if you want to see one of the most touching videos that I've ever seen on social media, you have to go and check out Joey Dilworth, his Instagram page. He posted a picture of him and his boy at the skate park. And if that's not one of the most touching things, and if that doesn't draw a tear to your eye, dude, hats off to Joey. His son has a handicap, and just the time and just the time that he spends with that boy. And I think it was the week before or 2 weeks prior to that, he was taking pictures of him driving in his truck, and the boys just had a big smile on his face. And then he took him to the skate park and had him on the skate deck, rolling around on the ramps. I mean, just hats off, Joey. That's your boy. You're loving him, taking time, being with him, taking the time to be with him. And, I mean, that was awesome, man. That really touched me. So, hats off. Go check that video out. If you need some inspiration, definitely want to watch that one.
Real deal. He's a good dude. He always comes through. He also does Get Decked. So if you're a show promoter, you're an enthusiast, you're a significant other, you want your main squeeze or your woe man or your husband to have his or her vehicle on a skate deck, he will make it happen. He's the only guy I know that'll do a minimum order of one. Of course, it might cost a little bit more, but if you're a show promoter, get on board. Maybe you want to do some best of awards and flip it up. Or hell, maybe your son or daughter loves the skateboard. They're getting ready for the Olympics. Skateboarding's in it to win it. So, dude, get out there, make you a custom board, and get to grinding and doing some 720s. You know what I mean? Just wear them pads. But, Mike, from there, basically just want to reinforce you're going to have Small Town Throwdown. That's Labor Day weekend. Now, I know a lot of folks, it's kind of, a holiday weekend, you may not be able to come out, but we'll be out there for September 4th. And then lastly, the only thing I'm going to hit on is Trucks and Cheeseburgers is, I think, technically the 19th. If I remember correctly, the 19th of September. That's down in the South Florida region. But these key show updates brought to you by our family at the West Coast Influence. Visit minitruckfilm.com and pick up the Blu-ray or DVD today. You won't be disappointed. You might even be able to get some guys to sign it eventually if you meet Radar out there. I know that he would love to do it if you'd like that kind of stuff. Mike, podcast updates, dude. Got a few to share. I'll kind of go through these a little bit more streamlined. But first off, with Heavy Hearts, this broke earlier this week. David McGaudy had shared this among many others. We lost an NR Club brother and his wife this morning. My heart breaks for their 2 babies. Lord, please surround yourself around them in the family that will now care for them. And, he tagged Wally Williams and Bridget Williams. And it's a tough thing. I don't know the details. As mentioned, no regrets, and a lot of folks were just like blown away by it. They shared some beautiful photos of them, and rest in peace to them. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, and you hate seeing that, especially when they're as young as they are, and then they leave young ones behind, and hats off to the couple that's going to, take the kids and take care of the kids and raise the kids. But you definitely hate to see, somebody that young, lose their lives.
Yes, sir. Now, Gator, he had posted, he said, today I got a call no one ever wants to get. I lost one of my biggest role models in life. He has taught me so much from racing and riding motorcycles and so on. And he kind of goes on to say, I know you will be watching over Angie, Ellis, and I and the kids. I hope I keep making you guys proud or making you proud. He says, until we meet again, Paul, I love you. So our condolences to Gator and Angie and their fam. Definitely nothing easy to go to, and we wish them, the best in kind of getting through that. Now, Mike, the few others I just wanted to hit upon, I wanted to say congratulations to a guy that we partnered with on a couple things, Mark Kotzwitz, great dude, one of the Truxarosa brothers. He recently purchased a house. He told me he was working to make that happen, so congratulations to him. Daryl and Nikki Poe, I know Daryl had posted happy 4th anniversary. You also had one of our good buddies, dude, great supporter of the podcast. Love this dude, Dustin Hale. Says he doesn't do much, but he just kind of asks for some thoughts for his pops. He has some, dealing with some things he has to have removed. So, fuck cancer, and I totally agree, homie. Keep doing what you do, and best of luck to you guys. And then, Mike, just to end on a positive note, dude, I know some of your good friends, man. Georgie, did you see what he put out there on social media?
Oh, absolutely, man. My boy George, his wife Ingrid, actually is today recording on Tuesday. Just turned 40. So welcome to the 40 club.
Yeah, real deal. Good people, man. And their son, he's not a bad kid either, ain't he?
No, that's my boy right there. He's a good boy. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, he's if you type in, he's got a cool page, Bronchography. I think I said it right finally.
Yep.
Bronchography. He's got a cool page. Really passionate, loves detailing his stuff, and he's got a great family. So good kid, good family, and happy Biz Orn Dizzy. So big ups to y'all. But those are the podcast, those are the Airhead Nation updates. I think I got a little sideways there earlier, but Airhead Nation updates brought to you by our family at Hammered Weekend Wear. Mike, I don't know if you know, but I just recently got my new Hammered shirts we picked up. And,
yes.
Dude, they look so awesome. And for some reason, I wanted to put a song on. I don't know if you know the song. I'm going to rock down to something Avenue. Have you ever heard that song?
I can't say I have, Jason.
No way. Dude, you just got the new Hammered shirt, and it says it on there.
Electric Avenue.
Yeah, there you go. We got the... Dude, you can rock down to Electric Avenue if you go to Hammered, HAMMERD, weekendwear.com. Make a purchase. They've got the new ones, a few extras in stock that they typically will sometimes order. Or you can purchase them in person where you don't have to pay any shipping. That's Hammered Weekend Wear. .com, or when you go to the website, as I had mentioned there, the top left corner, you can take a look at the Hammered U.S. tour. He's going to be at events nationwide. You can pick up, you go up there just like kind of like a fast food restaurant. You're like, I'll take a number 3, a number 15, maybe, throw in a little remix deal with a number, 22, and boom, he's got show specials going down. They've got stickers, flip-flops, shorts, you name it, Mike. But, dude, you get a tick mark for the Electric Avenue. I thought you were going to let me down, homie.
Nah, I wanted you to think that. I was going to bust it out and show you that I know some of them.
You know a thing or two. Yeah,
I'm not saying I know them all, but I do know some of them.
Yeah, he was just at Slamology, and I know he's going to be at Scraping the Coast. Now, on his calendar, it says, I forget if he flew home because he's got 619 rituals in Portland, so I don't think he was driving from Indy home and then back to STC, but hammeredweekendwear.com. Those were the Airhead Nation updates. And then lastly, we got the podcast updates, and we talked about Joey at Get Decked, so we can't thank him enough. If you want to get out there and order, you can just look on Instagram, type in Get Decked, or on Facebook the same. But Mike, the merch has been steadily rolling out. I mean, it's one of our biggest, baddest orders ever. So thank you so much to you and Mrs. Mayer for putting in the work. I know it's a lot of shipping. You had to order some more bags. It's a lot of taping. And, you told me the other day, taping ain't easy.
No, taping definitely is not easy. But I tell you what, man, hats off to each and every one of you that ordered one of those Back to the Future shirts. And I'm going to tell you this, Jay, if you guys don't get with us early at Scraping the Coast and, want that Back to the Future shirt, it's going to be gone because for that big old order we put in, we're pretty close to it being gone, brother.
And oftentimes some people might go, well, you should order more. Listen, I'm going to tell you straight up, off the top ropes, biggest single order that we've ever ordered from Graphic Disorder, and we can't thank them enough. You heard me mention it with Adam Tripp. Dude, they have just elevated our business and what we do and so many others. I saw the post the other day, I think it was from Eric, Hidden Hot Rod Art, who of course works there at Graphic Disorder, and he said he loves to see all the shows. It's just been this landslide of shows that have gotten on board. And the only advice that Mike and I would give you is plan ahead. If your show's in a year, start planning now. Don't wait, until 3 to 6 months before, because with the increased business, it of course extends those lead times. So it's a good problem to have, but Graphic Disorder, thanks so much. And Mike, dude, again, thank you guys and ladies, including Mrs. Mayer, for just knocking it out of the park, man. I mean, she's on some Barry Bonds shit, ain't she? Just swinging, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. No, she's definitely taking the roids, that's for sure.
Well, no, I didn't mean that, dude. I meant like,
Well, she ain't here right now, so I can say.
Oh, hitting the ball. My bad.
Yeah.
I'll have to edit this out, okay.
Yeah. Does it, Zaya?
Arnold. Okay, I don't do his voice good. But so I just want to say thanks. We're gonna continue to bring you content on YouTube. Really ramping up there. We've recently invested in some stuff that's going to help us do more. We're just kind of waiting on a few more things to be able to do that. So we're excited. And then Mike, the last thing before we cut away here to the audio with Vandemon, I did want to go on to the podcast app. And of course, there's even going to be some new updates. I mentioned these recently with Apple Podcasts. They just this week finally rolled out what they had hinted at before with some new landing pages and some new opportunity for subscriptions for podcasters. So, we're kind of delving into that stuff, so we're excited about it there. But if I go out here, we've got almost 240 ratings, and we're super excited about that. We did read some of the last ones that came in already, but if you can, many of you are on your Apple device, and you can just go to the pre-installed podcast app, tap on library, select OLP, scroll all the way down, 5 stars, and if you want to leave a review, you can do that as well. But Mike, dude, that might be our shortest segment, about 35 minutes or so. I certainly appreciate your time, and I know next week we're going to have even a lot more talk about. I want to also talk about next week, Mike, your show. Give like a 6-month kind of window out That's going to be next January. And can you just reinforce the dates for everyone?
Absolutely, brother. Eastbound Get Down at Destination Daytona. Okay. That is not at Daytona 1. That is not at the track. That is at Destination Daytona Complex there in Ormond Beach, Florida. Okay. It's right outside of Daytona. And it's there, the largest Harley Davidson dealership in the world. So, guys, there is a hotel. The Host Hotel is right on property. It is $99 a night. They are giving us for $99 a night. So make sure guys are getting those hotel rooms before they are gone. I talked to the GM. He said that there is only 15 hotels left, 15 rooms left. So thank you guys who have already booked y'all's rooms. Definitely appreciate that. And make sure you guys are there and definitely stay tuned, because I definitely want to give a shout out to the Mock Media One guys, because they just busted out another little short video. They're helping me with the promo of the show, and they just dropped another one today. So definitely want to give a shout out to those guys, and of course Stingray Chevrolet for coming on board as the title sponsor. So we'll definitely have more information coming soon. Website's coming soon. Pre-registration will open up July 4th weekend. So stay tuned.
Well, thanks, man, for everything. And again, we're super excited. This awesome guest, man, just a lot of rich history. Humble dude, Steve Vandeman. We're going to roll into it now. Thanks to everyone that continues to rock with us. If your friends and clubmates and homies and chicas and main squeezes don't know, tell them OLP, follow, subscribe, you name it. We appreciate you guys.
Absolutely, Jay. And hey, with that being said, Airhead Nation,
we got you. Peace. Hey, as I mentioned with Miggity Mike the Mayor and I just a few minutes ago, got a special guest on, someone that's been on our list a minute, Steve Vandeman. Thank you so much for your time.
Oh, no problem. How you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing good, man. I feel like I got so much I want to talk about. And how you doing today?
I'm doing great. Despite the 90, right now it's 91 degrees here, and it's pretty humid. But other than that, it's not as humid as where you're at, I'm sure. Other than that, everything's great.
Dude, the summer is here, man. And I always joke around with people and say it almost feels like it's getting hotter every year. But I do think with my age, it's like, man, I feel like it's a mental thing too.
Maybe no, I think it's just getting hotter.
Yeah, I don't disagree. But we always like to start off with asking like some background stuff. But a lot of folks will know your name, and some may not. But I love being able to tell a story. And where did you grow up? Did you start out in L.A.? I mean, someone was telling me you might be straight out of Compton.
Yeah, pretty much. I was born, and I say straight out of Compton. Back then, it wasn't as cool as it is now, I guess. Right. But I was born in L.A. and then my parents moved us to Orange County, so I grew up, in not as tough of a part of town, obviously, and it's pretty much the mecca of custom cars and trucks and you name it. I guess I was lucky enough to grow up in that, where all that happened, back in the day. So, grew up, like I said, in the mecca of the custom industry. My dad was a mechanic. So funny thing is, since my dad was a mechanic, I couldn't stand working on cars. Mm-hmm. So, and then I end up working on hot rods and stuff, for basically, if you want to call it for a living,
right.
Kind of weird. I'm one of those few people that works on cars and trucks and vehicles, and I could care less about what they are or any of that. It's kind of funny. People ask me what it is, and I'm like, I don't know. I think it's a Ford. I don't know.
Yeah, that is crazy. Yeah, you work on some cool stuff, and I want people to kind of hear, a little bit later on what you do now. But one thing that's always intrigued me is, with YouTube now, I watch a lot of different stuff where people do movie site locations. And the funniest thing is, I'm not even like a Disney World fan or Disney, that stuff. But I'm always intrigued about how like the history of like the rides, or like, oh, when it first opened they had this and they built it this way and all that. But like, did you, like, as a kid, did you guys do all that kind of like California type stuff?
Well, it's funny you mention that. So my grandfather on my mother's side, what he did for a living, he was known as a greensman in the film industry, right? So you've seen his work a million times and don't even know it. So back in the day, they used to work for all the different studios. So now a lot of times guys work for one studio, or, usually they're exclusive. Whereas back then, these guys worked everywhere. And one of the main studios he worked for was Walt Disney Productions. And he helped build Disneyland. So when I was a kid, we were at Disneyland like more times than I care to admit, and now it's hard for me to go there because I was there like most of my life all the time because, we never had to pay for anything.
Right. Oh,
and
that's
now
awesome.
no desire to go to Disneyland.
Yeah.
It's like you practically grew up there, and a lot of people don't know this, but Disneyland was built by film crew. So literally they would work on a movie for Walt Disney Productions, and then they'd go over and they'd work on, like, for instance, like the Jungle Cruise or It's a Small World, or any of those other things that they originally built in that place. And a lot of that stuff my grandfather, had a giant part of building.
That's awesome. What's amazing is some of these YouTube channels, if you will, they have like unarchived, like, I guess when he was building a lot of that stuff, they had he set up cameras and stuff, even though it was expensive, of course, to run film, and they would do time-lapse stuff. And they would show, like, the day they were opening these different things. And it's always been amazing to me how people even acquire that stuff, or find it or unearth it. But the other thing that's been cool is, being a Lincoln fan, I'm always intrigued about the 1964 World Fair that was up in New York. And when Disney did a lot of stuff there for the Magic Highway, I think it was called, where they had all the Ford convertibles, and you'd step in the car and you'd go through this thing, and a lot of that stuff was repurposed for, I forget if it was Land or Disney World, but like even the vision that they had, and I mean, you talk about a visionary dude, that guy was like on another level.
Yeah.
So, but cool stuff.
Well, real quick, like I don't remember because I was too young, and I don't even know, couldn't even tell you what year Walt Disney died, but like my mom told me stories of him having dinner at the house because he was very close with my grandfather, and I was never around. I think he may have died before I was born. I don't even know. I'd have to look it up, but she told me stories. They called him Mr. Disneyland. He'd be at the house eating spaghetti.
Wow, that is freaking cool, man. I mean, yeah, it's crazy. It's through trucks, I meet someone like you, and here we are talking about some stuff that's like mind blowing to
Disneyland.
me. Yeah, who would ever thunk it?
Well,
but
right where I am, if I go on the other side of these buildings, which block it, I can see the Matterhorn.
Oh,
it's like
really?
It's like 10 minutes from me.
Oh, wow. Well, another guy that I follow on YouTube, he does, I follow a couple different ones, but they do a lot of movie site locations from California, obviously, all over. But, the era that you grew up in, I remember like Gleaming the Cube, right? And we did an episode on it one time, and it was cool.
Slater.
Yeah, and it was cool because they showed like where some of those scenes were. It's like Disneyland was right over there, and then like some of the hotels that used to like line that area, they're of course knocked down and they're new and stuff. But it's crazy to think like, oh yeah, all right, we're gonna just go film over here. That's just the way movies were made there.
Yeah.
So, but it's pretty
now
cool.
It's just too expensive, and they go to Toronto now.
Yeah, or Georgia or some of these other places.
Yeah, that's right. Atlanta. That's right.
Now, growing up out there in that era, before we talk about trucks and stuff, like, were you? I don't want to say the typical California kid, but like, us on the East Coast, like we'd read the magazines and it was like, okay, skateboarding, Pal Peralta, bikes. Like, were you involved in all that stuff?
The Lords of Dogtown.
Yes.
No. So here's what I did. Like, I tried the skateboard thing and all that. And I grew up and I still am. I'm your prototypical nerd, right? So I'm like all about Star Trek and Star Wars and all the fucking weird shit like that. Okay. Just like science fiction and all that stuff. So I figured out, I had pretty much no like athletic ability or any of that. But then I figured out, okay, why? I'm listening to these bands, and all these guys are getting girls, right? They all have hot chicks, right? So I figured out, wait, I could get an electric guitar and be a rock star and get girls. You don't need to be an athlete to do that, right? So sure enough, that's the route I took. I got myself an electric bass when I was 14 years old. And next thing you knew, I was getting all the girls, so it worked for me. You know?
That's awesome.
So that's kind of what I did.
Yeah, you're like score. No, that's cool.
I was the rocker, a rocker musician guy, as opposed to, you know, the skateboard and surfing and all that stuff.
Yeah, and I don't know exactly what, you know, bands you're into, but I was always intrigued too. Even, you know, I know it's kind of cliche, but like I always remember hearing the crazy stories about Axl Rose back in those days, and I would read a lot of these interviews, like when he grew up, and you know they were living on the streets and stuff, and it was crazy. You know, when you think about people that love music, like obviously they were super talented, and they stuck with it, and it's one of those things where, man, I wish I would have learned to play because my dad loved playing the guitar. But when you can appreciate music or when you can play it, I guess you could say you appreciate it in a different way, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, music is one of those things where, you know, for me, like I said, I jokingly say, you know, I wanted to be a rock star to get girls, but you got to love it to do it. And I still play to this day, like a lot. You know, I never stopped. But I don't care. You know, I'm not like a disgruntled musician that, you know, never, you know, became a rock star or any of that shit. I just love being able to play. It's like a drug, you know, and I know plenty of rock stars, you know, to be honest with you, I know a lot of big time rock stars that are the most miserable, unhappy people in the world. So sometimes you look at that and go, damn, I'm glad I didn't become a rock star. You know?
Yeah, I know. It is a crazy world, and especially like with a lot of stuff that's happened, you know, that whole industry has been impacted by the touring and all that stuff.
Big time. Big time. I could go on for hours about that. That's for another time.
Yeah, I mean, who would have ever thought like Guns N' Roses would get back together? You know, hell freezes over, but then they can't play together because of the freaking pandemic. I mean, you could have never predicted it, but
I have one of my oldest friends. I've known him for right around 35 years. Is a guy you might know. He was in this little band called Black Sabbath.
Oh,
right?
Damn, dude.
His name's Bill Ward. He's the original drummer of Black Sabbath. He lives right down the street from here, actually. I've known him for 35 years.
That's crazy, dude. I remember when Black Hole Sun, or wait, no, I'm thinking...
no, that's Soundgarden.
Yeah, Soundgarden, sorry. Yeah, so, yeah, I had that totally wrong. But, yeah, dude, Black Sabbath is arguably one of the, you know, the greatest bands ever.
Yeah, they're like top 5 rock bands ever, easily.
Yeah, and I think they were English guys.
Yeah, they're all from Birmingham, England.
Yep. And that was back like when my dad was into, you know, a lot of the stuff, like he was in the Fogerty and Creedence and all that stuff, you know, back when, you know, having the long hair, and it was kind of like that hippie days from the 60s and 70s, and, you know, Black Sabbath, dude, you know, arguably, like you said, one of the all-time greats, and, I mean, Ozzy's still kicking, you know?
Yeah. When you hear Ozzy speak, even though it's really hard to understand, that's a Birmingham accent.
Oh, really?
That's what that is. It's Birmingham. Yeah. That's how all of them talk. You know, it's a Bill you can understand. You know?
Yeah, that's crazy, man. Well, a lot of people know you for like the paint stuff that you've done over the years. So like, you know, I'm kind of curious to know, like in the early days, you know, I've always jokingly said, like, I can't draw a stick figure, but I was always intrigued by people that could draw. And to me, that's just amazing. Were you, like, drawing stuff in, like, middle school, high school? When did you know that you had this talent?
Well, I did when I was in high school. You know, I mean, that got me in a lot of trouble because I would just sit there and draw and not do anything and get bad grades. But that didn't really lead to what I ended up doing as far as the custom paint stuff.
Okay.
I kind of stopped doing that, got away from that. Again, remember I was playing, you know, in bands for a long time. And then, you know, I wasn't really doing anything having to do with art. And then later on, I don't really know exactly how old I was. I was probably around 25, maybe 25 or 26. And somewhere I saw like some airbrushing. It was airbrush, you know, that's what it was specifically. It was some airbrushing. Mm-hmm. And so I decided, that looks really cool. I want to and I'd mess around with that. So got the airbrush, started screwing around with that. And then very soon after that, I happened to accidentally drive by this little kind of like art show / car show thing going on in Anaheim over here, which is, you know, where Disneyland is. And I went in there and I was with my girlfriend at the time. And I noticed there was one guy in there. He had like a booth set up, and there's a bunch of people with booths, and he was the one guy that stood out because he was actually working on a truck hood, you know, that was up on like an easel. He's working on a truck hood, and, you know, obviously it's metal, and everyone else was like painting on T-shirts, you know, and everyone, if you know airbrush, you know, it looks a lot different when you see someone airbrushing on a T-shirt as opposed to on a piece of metal. And this guy was the only one working on metal, and he just stood out. His stuff was amazing. And I walked up and I kind of stared at, what he was doing for a while, and he kind of like acted like, what are you looking at? And he finally turns around. I said, "Whoa, that's really cool." I started asking him some questions, and next thing you knew, we, started having some conversation about who knows what. And that was this guy that no one's probably ever heard his name, Craig Frazier. He's totally unknown in this industry, right?
Wow.
So he's the one, and I'm saying that kidding.
You're right.
Obviously. So Craig was the first one that I had ever seen, work in quote automotive materials. And I didn't know the difference. I just knew it looked cool. So we ended up becoming friends. And, I've known him, obviously ever since then. We kind of hit it off, and I started doing stuff with him and helping him out. And, we started teaching, he started a class where he was teaching a class where no one had done that before. That was all him. And then I was his apprentice, his helper, his assistant, whatever the hell you want to call it, and I learned a vast amount of knowledge from him, and that's kind of where it came from, because, he was working on vehicles. I didn't care about whether they were vehicles or not. I just liked the artwork. Mm-hmm. And next thing you know, someone starts asking me to do their Harley or their truck or whatever the hell it is,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll never forget. This is kind of a cool story with Craig is, there was this guy out in the middle of nowhere that had some truck that he was working on, and he needed a bunch of airbrush and graphic work done to it. Well, Craig didn't want to do it, or he didn't have time.
Uh-huh.
So he sends me out there, and I barely knew what the hell I was doing. So I go out to this place. I'm nervous as hell. I do this truck. It ends up on the cover of Sport Truck magazine.
Wow.
So the very first truck I ever did anything to, and it had nothing to do with me. I'm not like saying I like worked it out to get it on the cover. No, it was just, whoever this guy knew, they put it on the cover of Sport Truck, and it's hideous. When I look back at it, it's horrible, as far as what it looks like. But anymore, I don't care, and I'll show it. I'll go, look, this is my first truck I ever did, cover a Sport Truck, and I don't care how bad it looks anymore.
Yeah, and there's something, it makes you feel good, because, obviously trends come, like we talked about, things come full circle, but it was kind of like me. I had shot my buddy Tom. He has a 65 Lincoln, and he has so much work into, really nice convertible. Uh-huh. And, Tom, I'm like, Tom, this car's, never got the love it deserves. And he's like, yeah. He's like, I agree. And we shot it, and then I kind of was like, I don't know, man. I don't know if my photography skills are that great. I don't think they are. But I shopped it around to some homies, and no sooner my friends at All Time Low were like, yeah, we'll run it. And then they put it on the cover. And I was like, all right. I said, the first photo shoot I did landed on the cover. I was like, all right, I'll take it,
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, exactly.
So,
exactly.
So that's pretty awesome. Now, the crazy thing is, obviously we got some trucks we'll talk about, but one of the things is this whole sport truck era is coming back, right? And I always hoped that it would, like the 88 to 98 stuff. We've had Bill Hancock on, and we've talked a lot about the Boyd days, and all of that stuff is stuff that a lot of us grew up loving. Are you, even though you might not be as connected to the scene and the truck stuff as you were, are you kind of seeing that and hearing that? And does that does that bring back some good memories for you?
I only see it, say by stuff, say that you post and people, in your circle, I see it all, obviously, that's the beauty of Instagram and even Facebook, where you can see all that stuff in other places, here. Yeah. There's some guys that I know that are still, they're all totally down with that, that style. And when I say style, I just mean, mini trucks and just show truck stuff. There is, I hope I see more of it around here. I'm right smack dab in the middle of like the high-end street rods, hot rod, even gassers and stuff like that. We've got like the Grand National Roadster Show and all that. And the shop that I work out of now is called Canberra Speed Shop.
Okay.
And that's in Orange, California. And they do, like I said, just real high-end street rods and, Mercs and, 30s Fords and, even muscle cars and shit. Like they've got a 67 Camaro they're restoring, Z28 Camaro, like road runners, shit like that, and so the mini truck thing, you're not seeing that as much right here, but it's just because I'm so immersed in all that other stuff. But I still see it. And I do know a few guys, that are around here that are they're doing that and doing their own trucks and doing graphics and stuff. The problem I see with it, and I know this is a long-winded sentence. The problem that I see is the kind of shit that we used to do on those trucks back then. I hate to say it this way, but for someone to afford me to do that now, I'm saying, I don't know if I could do it. I mean, I'd want 10 grand to do what I was doing for 4 back then, so it's like a lot of people they can't afford to do that. So, there are a lot of people who are willing to do that kind of stuff for a lot cheaper. I'm just not one of them, so it's hard, it's hard to say, let's do like one of those Cal Concepts freaking paint jobs on a truck.
Yeah.
Think about how many hours that is, and someone wants that. You're going to be like, I want 10 to 15 grand to put graphics on your truck.
Yeah.
I hope there's people that would want to do that because I would love it, but the time involved is ridiculous. And I couldn't tell you what they charge up there anymore. I haven't, not that I call up and ask them what they're charging, but that never comes up really. But now I'd kind of be curious,
I know, right? The times have definitely changed, and
yeah, it's just so much money, and materials are so much more expensive, and just everything, so you got to be like, back then it was you and me having your mini truck, and you're barely scraping money to pay for the Blue Pearl,
right.
And now let's hope, there's some of those guys that now they're doctors and lawyers, that maybe they want to relive that, and they'll spend freaking, 30 grand to paint their vehicle or whatever it is,
Yeah, or they're willing to like go, all right, let's liquidate the 401ks and stuff.
Yeah.
To go, all right,
exactly.
or we'll refinance the house and we'll finish the mini. But
there's got to be some of these guys that have a Bentley, get rid of the Bentley and get a couple mini trucks. Come on.
Yeah, we see it sometimes. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But now, so obviously, you do this paint on this, quote sport truck, right? And you're like, bam. So does that like boost your confidence, and like how quickly do you start doing jobs like on other trucks and stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you got to understand that was so long ago. I barely remember much of it, but I think that because it was kind of just everything was exploding right then, so there was no one trying to find stuff to do. If anything, it was trying to find the time of the day to do it all, And because I knew Craig, I would help Craig on a lot of stuff, and I even started getting him helping me on stuff.
Mm-hmm.
There's one of those M.I.C. trucks. I forget what it is. It's a mini truck. I couldn't tell you what it is. It was on the cover. It's like a yellow and green.
Yeah, was it the Blazer that was like white and yellow, and maybe that?
No,
one?
It wasn't a Blazer. It was a truck. It was a pickup truck, and it was. Maybe I'll post pictures of it one of these days. I do have a picture of it, but it was on the cover of maybe I don't know, maybe Mini Truckin'. It was for a skater.
Oh,
it was for some
right. Yep, that was a Ford Ranger, I think.
Is that what it was? Yeah, I think you're right. And Craig came down and he started sketching out the skulls on the side, and then we just kind of airbrushed all that shit. And so Craig and I did that, and that was mostly his vision, and I just kind of followed along with him. But it was one of those that we did together, and that kind of stuff. So because he and I were doing stuff so much together back then, of course he had his thing he was doing up north, and I was still doing stuff down here. And like I said, there wasn't enough time in the day. I mean, I gravitated more towards the full size trucks for some reason. It wasn't a choice. It just happened that way. Maybe because M.I.C. did mostly the full size stuff, and Craig and them up there, they were doing lots of the mini trucks.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And you also had like the bigger canvas and stuff like that, is the way I always kind of saw it.
Yeah.
And, so you kind of had a little bit of that, but so my understanding is Rob, and I think I always said Rob's last name right, but it's Rob Maggi, right? Is how you pronounce it.
Rob Maggi. Yeah.
Now did you like meet him like at a show, or like how did you end up linking up with him? Because like you said, there was that connection between you and M.I.C.
The first time I met Rob, he called me. I didn't know who he was. He got my number from someone, and I came over to his place, at his house, and this is in Yorba Linda, and I did a bunch of like lettering and just detail stuff on the truck that he had. It was that white crew cab dually, with the checkered flags and yellow and blue stuff all over it.
Yeah.
I think it was on the Truckin', and I did kind of the final details on it. And then after that, just started doing stuff here and there with him. And next thing you knew, he and I were roommate. We moved in together to kind of save on, rent and mortgage and all that stuff. So he and I were roommates for a couple years. And that's when the original M.I.C. was opened. He and I, he put down all the money. I didn't pay for anything, that was nice. But,
Yeah.
he and I pretty much opened the damn place, and we I painted murals on the walls. For people that have seen that place back in the day, there was all kinds of stuff airbrushed on the walls and skulls and checkered flags and all of that, junk that we did back then. And there was 4 people in that shop. It was Rob, me, Sean, and this guy, Scott Pfister, who was like a good friend of Sean's. And it was just us 4 for a long, long time. Just doing mostly suspension, airbags and hydraulics and shit like that. And then I did my airbrushing and stuff in the, on the side over there in the corner.
Yeah, and even going back to like in like Truckin 96, like they had there was a Suburban that I had talked to Sean about, rest in peace Sean Mahaney, and it was like the Suburban that was white and it had like hydraulics on the front. They were putting hydraulics on these trucks, and it was called the Bomb, but it was like the it was like a Phantom Dually too, which is a little bit different, right? Because it's SUV and stuff. But like it kind of reinforces, and I want the listeners to know that like M.I.C. kind of goes back to, almost like that mid 90s, like 96-ish. Would you say 95, 96?
Yeah, probably 96.
Yeah, in the run that they had, I want to talk about a few of the trucks, but when we had Sean on, one thing that we talked a lot about was that how Krew Kut, became Krew Kut from West Side, right? And, a lot of people, like over here, we used to look at it and I'm, rest in peace, like I said, to Sean, but we talk about it and we're like, man, like how, but wait a minute, the dash is different and the motor and he kind of talked a lot about like how Rob wanted to kind of like make it, conceal some of that. And it was kind of this undercover type thing. But, when you think back to like that epic truck, West Side, and then it turns into Krew Kut, of course, and then Heather and Joey, Heather wins it, and then she made the tag East Side, which I thought was awesome because, they were out this way. Like, how cool was it? And can you talk a little bit about like what your contribution was? Because I think some people forget that, they think that you did one thing on the truck, but, you were specific with me. Like you kind of had one big thing you did on that truck.
Well, the Krew Kut truck and the West Side thing. So Rob's whole idea behind that, to back up a little, he didn't want anyone to know it was the same truck, because to him, he felt cooler if people thought, whoa, you did 2 of these amazing trucks.
Right.
Well, no, they just took the West Side. It was funny. I helped strip the paint off of that West Side truck with a DA.
With the checker flag and everything.
Oh yeah, we attacked it and just started grinding that paint off, and it was kind of cool, because we were creating something new. And then, I'm pretty sure it was Sean chopped the top off of it. And then one of the cool things was the fact that they grafted bedside, the bedside top on across the doors. So the whole thing from the bed on all the way up to the front was the same on top. I don't know if that makes sense, but it had the bedside railing all the way on all the doors, all the way down the side, which is what really made it different, and that was a nightmare to do all the body work, to get it all to look, smooth and like it was factory, and then knocking the windshield back a little bit. And that was all. A lot of people don't realize this, but that whole vision of that thing was Rob's, right? The whole idea behind that truck was Rob, and Rob used to take a piece of paper and a bunch of crayons and just scribble out his ideas. he was like the worst person ever at rendering, but hey, that's what you do, right? It worked for us, so he basically scribbled this thing out. And I want to say, I'm pretty positive it was originally going to be yellow, because that's Rob's favorite color, is yellow, right? Mm-hmm. You can look at most of his paint jobs have yellow in there somewhere. So when it came to me, and now what I did to that truck is I did not paint the truck green. So I did not do the base color on it. And the reason I say that is because when people will say, oh, you painted the truck. Well, no, I didn't paint it green. Now, it was my idea to do it green. I told Rob, I said, we're not painting this fucking thing yellow. hopefully I'm, pardon my French.
Right.
We're not painting this thing yellow. I said, let's do it green. Cause it's like, I like green. He's like, you think so? And I was like, yeah, we're doing it green. So anyway, so this guy Ken did the base color yellow, or I mean, I'm sorry, green. I just said yellow. That was stupid. This guy Ken painted the green base coat. I did all 100% of the graphics. And the one thing I did is I let Rob have his yellow. So if you look at that thing, the pinstriping is yellow. And that's why. It's because Rob had to have his yellow on the truck. So that's why the pinstriping's yellow. And I did 100% of the pinstriping by myself. I had no help.
Wow, dude, that is insane, dude. How long do you think it took you back? I mean, that's a lot of canvas.
Well, here's the thing is, funny thing about that, and when I've taught custom painting before, I bring this up once in a while. So also, just to backtrack a little bit, so the blue and the purple in the flames, that was all my idea. So that was my color combination. The only thing I didn't want was the yellow striping, but it's Rob's truck, so I can't argue too much, right? So gave the yellow. Then I had a friend of mine, Danny Schultz, came in and started airbrushing the skulls that you see kind of on the back and on the rear. He came in he spent about 3 hours one night sketching some of that out. And then I came in and, darkened stuff up and drop shadowed everything and finished, finalized everything before I pinstriped it. So that's that. So what I was going to say about, you're asking about time. So when you put tape on a truck, which I laid out the whole thing all by myself, I had no help on it, which is fine. That's the way I do stuff, so I laid the whole thing out, and then I had a couple people help mask. So when I say mask, it's basically back taping, what doesn't get the color, the purple and the blue. So one of the main guys that helped, and I want you, make sure and give him credit, is David Engel. And now David Engel, he has a company called Engel Brothers Fabrication.
Oh, wow.
Here in Southern California, he's incredible. I still to this day work with David a lot. He owns a 55 Oldsmobile that is probably the most famous hot rod in history of hot rods, other than maybe the California Kid. So his 55 Olds is one of the first cars I ever put flames on. And it was on the cover of Hot Rod magazine 3 times. So that's David for you.
Yeah, and he even posted, I remember because I just looked it up, he had posted that boat that I think that you guys had partnered up on, that big yellow one. So
yeah.
So he's got a good social following. Okay, so sorry.
Yeah, he used to help me a lot. Oh, no worries. No, David is I talked to him yesterday. I mean, David, I talk to almost every day.
Awesome.
So, but I want to make sure he gets credit for that because he was my slave. He was my slave.
That's awesome.
And he might look at you funny if he hears me say that, but I don't care. He was my slave.
Right.
True story. So anyway, when we, like I said, putting the tape on is one thing. Probably took 3 days to lay that truck out, right? And that's me laying it out, cutting everything and making everything the way I like it, right? Then when it came, after the colors were sprayed, and I sprayed all the colors on it, it took 4 people 4 hours to take the tape off that truck.
Holy crap.
Because keep in mind, all the jams were done at the same time. So you've got 4 doors. So think how many jams, that's 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 8 jams on the damn truck.
Yep.
And all that was laid out at the same time. Usually I'll do the outside of a vehicle, then I'll do the jam separate. On that one, I just did it all at once. It took us 4 hours. So that's 16 hours to remove the freaking tape.
Holy crap, dude. That is insane.
Yeah, because if you think about it, graphics like that where they're all overlapping, every little piece that overlaps has to be cut into a little piece. So there's little tiny pieces of tape coming off, like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of these little pieces of tape coming off.
Yeah, it's tedious work. And I always thought when people paint the amount of time or pinstripe and stuff, I don't know. It takes a certain kind of person to have that patience, I would think, Steve.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's just like anything else. You get in the zone. I was pinstriping a friend of mine's truck just a little while ago before I started talking to you, and you get in the zone and then you're moving, it's just like you're not even thinking, and Rob's truck, the Krew Kut truck, I probably pinstriped it in maybe 3 days.
Wow.
I remember the hood took me a day, just the hood. I do remember that for some reason, but then after that, you start moving and then you just get in a groove and it's like, you're going fast,
Oh yeah. Now, I forget who I talked to recently, and somebody was like, "Oh, I'm gonna give you a tidbit." But like on Krew Kut, someone was kind of telling me, right? So you mentioned how the windshield was laid back, where they maybe went to do that, and there was something that caused them. Like, was the vision always to cut the roof off? Is kind of what I'm getting at, because somebody was like, well, they kind of started to do this, and they were like, I don't know if I think he wanted to maybe use a stock windshield or something. And somebody was just like, they said, just cut it off. But I didn't know if you knew if that was ever true.
I don't think so. I think it was just chop it off. The one thing that's kind of cool that like almost no one knows is if you look at that truck, the mirrors are off of a Sea-Doo.
Oh, right. That was really different.
That was 100% my idea.
Nice. Okay.
I mean, like I said, like it or not, you might think it's the ugliest thing in the world. I don't give a shit, but that was 100% my idea. And the reason is, at that time, I was a total river rat, and we were at the river all the time, and I had 2 Sea-Doos, and I just gotten a new one, and the mirrors, they were back then, this is way back, and they looked so cool, and no one knew what they were really. You're always trying to do something different. And I told Rob, I go, let's use Sea-Doo mirrors on this thing. He's like, yeah, that look cool, So he bought a set of Sea-Doo mirrors, and that's what's on it.
Yeah, it's awesome. And my buddy Ron at Hammered Weekend Wear, he's one of our key guys, and everybody who listens knows that we talk about Hammered Weekend Wear all the time. And they actually put Krew Kut on a shirt, and it was kind of cool because it was the theme party like it's 1999, and we loved it because it had that that feel to it. And one thing that I know that you're maybe not as connected to all this stuff because you got your own stuff going on, but I'll tell you, having watched the TV show and this rebirth of this truck, they spoke very highly of the paint, and they said I think it was McCoy that was there, and he was their lead painter and stuff, and he just said, hey, we cannot, like, he really pushed that, look, we cannot change this paint at all. And, supposedly maybe Sean at the time had connected them to get the right colors or some little things here and there, but they were extra careful, and that's just me. I mean, from what I know, I'm not speaking on their behalf, but I mean, I'm thankful that they kept it the way that it is.
Yeah, as far as I know, all they did to that truck is, as far as paint goes, I think they painted a bumper for it. Mm-hmm. I think they repainted like a new front bumper or cover, or whatever the hell it was. Maybe a grill. I'm not sure. Yeah. Because they called me and they couldn't get the color right. So they called me, and I told them why they couldn't get the color. And Sean wouldn't have had a clue what colors were on that truck. I still to this day know exactly what they are, which is funny as hell, and I don't know why. I just remember. Yeah. But the whole thing was house color, including the clear. So as far as I know, it held up pretty well. And I think all they did is they re-cleared the hood. So they didn't change it. They just sanded it and put a new coat of clear on it. And then they buffed out everything else. And like I said, painted some parts green, but they didn't do any artwork on it. They didn't mess with the artwork. Yeah. Which is cool because that's kind of what it was. I mean, it'd be like taking an old Fender guitar and refinishing it. Yep. It's not worth anything anymore,
Yeah, especially with the history of it, because like it was cool as Krew Kut, as West Side, and I think like those paint jobs were, just tremendous. The whole length of it, like you got to stand back and you kind of see it all, but it took on a new form, like when the roof was cut and it was what it was, and then of course, I'm one of Wes Allison's biggest fans. Like when he shot it on the beach. It was just so epic, and then you got the cover with I think Rob sitting in it, and then the 2 females, which I assume maybe one was his wife, but I mean, just epic truck.
Donna wasn't there. His wife, it was his girlfriend at the time. They got married later, but that was Donna. She wasn't. No, that's not. I don't know who they are. They're just 2 models or maybe 2 friends. I don't. But no, Donna wasn't one of them.
Okay, cool. Yeah, dude. So, I mean, to me, I think like that truck has just really stood the test of time, and we knew, we want to tell the story down the road with Heather and Joey. They had their experience with it, and then of course it had changed hands, and it went over to the guy that had owned Brent's Wheels. I do not know him. I went to see him only a couple times. I think 2004 he had it out there. They had changed the wheels, and then it kind of had sat for a long time, and it had bounced around. A couple people did stuff with it, but we were always hopeful that someone would at least keep it up, and that's what they did. And then we're thankful that Dave Schulman owns it now, we've had Dave on, but Dave is kind of like really a good curator with it, and he takes it out, he takes people on rides all the time, and it's really cool to see that it stood the test of time for, I guess, going on almost 25 years, and it had 3 covers. People forget it had a West Side, then it had the original Krew Kut, and then towards the end of Truckin's run, it was on the cover.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, funny story is that the producer of that show that they refurbished it, I don't even know what it's called. What is it called? It's the Gas Monkey thing.
Yeah, yep.
Whatever that show is, the producer called me. He did not have an actual existing cover.
No way.
So here's what I did. He goes, "Do you have one of the covers?" I'm like, "Yeah, I think I do." So I found it. I took a picture of it with my phone and I texted it to him, and that's the one you see on the show.
No way.
Yeah, my text picture. Because I told him, I said, "Hey, if you need it, I'll just send it to you." He goes, "No, I think this will work."
That is epic, dude.
I thought that was hilarious. It's like this, it's TV, and it's like, here's a texted photo.
Right. You're like, that's 5K, damn it.
It was perfect.
But I know you're not a guy that wants to limelight and stuff, but it makes me feel better that at least there was that little connection where they had reached out and stuff. Because, you and I had kind of this discussion earlier in the week, and it was like, I can't stand when people don't get credit, or, sometimes, time passes and, things are, sometimes left out and you kind of forget, oh yeah, of course, Sean got the credit, I think, there, and he got the lion's share of it. And obviously, like you said, there were a couple other guys, but, to me, that means a lot because, you just hate when some jabroni ass dudes get a hold of it. And I think it's a testament to those guys. They weren't the jabroni ass guys that he had working there. Like, he had guys that were real truck guys, and they really, from my understanding, they steered him and said, "Richard, we can't mess this up, dude." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They did it, the best they could. And we liked how they turned it out.
Yeah. It's kind of cool. They got a hold of me. I mean, it was the painter.
Yes.
Again, I forget his name, but,
yeah, McCoy,
he called me personally one day, and he was the one asking me, I can't get this green right. And I'm like, my first thought was, what do you mean you can't get that green right? It's easy. And then I figured out it's just one of those kind of things, afterthoughts, or, oh, okay, I get it. Here's what you need to do, kind of thing. And I was happy to help them out. It was nice. It was cool that they called me, and Sean and I had actually spoken I don't know when it was. It was probably maybe 8 or 9 months before he passed. And he told me he was thinking about going out there and helping them on it, and wanted to know if I wanted to go with him. And I was like, I don't know, I don't know, maybe figure it out and let me know, what they're talking about. And so, we probably would have, but, obviously it didn't work out, for obvious reasons, so.
Yeah. Well, and it was cool that they reached out to him, and just a few more things that came to mind for me is that, when I look, actually just this week, dude, small world, when I got involved in trucks, I became friends with Steve Nielsen because I was buying stuff from him at Alter Images. And Steve had sent out,
Mm-hmm.
these classic VHS tapes, and it wasn't smut. It was, truck smut is what I call it. So, so just this week, I've been ripping more of it, and from the DVD, I had it transferred, and dude, it was Cow Truck Jam '98, and dude, you see West Side there, and of course the Blazer I had mentioned earlier, and the crew or the M.I.C. They really. I don't want to say they were the first shop, because there were others. We've talked about Trendsetter and some of these other classic shops, but they really had what you said, this West Coast flair to them, with their booth and then the inside of the shop, like you said, and not taking anything away from even Ryan and West Coast Customs and stuff, but these guys were, you guys were at the kind of the forefront of a lot of that, in my opinion.
I think that was before any of that stuff.
It was, yeah. I'm pretty certain. And Ryan was kind of building up, and he built his empire, but. Now, do you still talk? I don't know anything about Rob Maggi. Is he still around, or is he involved with trucks at all?
He is. He's heavily into real estate, because his parents are real estate agents, and they kind of pass that on to him, which is pretty damn smart, and that's, as far as I know, that's kind of, I haven't talked to him in quite a few years. The funny thing is, I did something for his mom.
Really?
A few years ago. Yeah. It was an antique thing. She wanted me to do some lettering on for her. So I did that. And, I asked about him, and I got his number. I just hadn't talked to him, maybe one of these days I will,
Yeah, absolutely. I know how things go. Now, of course, it's kind of lion's share, but what I think is, we're talking to Steve Vandeman, And if you go out on Instagram and you type in Vandemon, Demon, you're going to see his Instagram. And one thing that I appreciate, we kind of were starting to nail down, making this audio happen. And you went out there and thanks for doing it. You posted some of the covers, right? And some of the work that you've been involved with. And, everything from lowered to lifted. But one of my favorites was a Street Trucks. It was like a black truck and it had this like, I know I'm going to say it wrong, like a purplish flame that kind of went down it. It was extended cab.
Yeah, I forget the guy's name that owned that. I forget his name, but yeah, I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah, so many epic trucks. And talk to us a little bit about just, when you think back, obviously you're still a young dude and you're doing all kinds of stuff, but like when you think back to all these, I mean, is there maybe a couple that come to mind that just really stand out in your mind?
Yeah, totally. I mean, the funny thing, the truck you're talking about, now here's the thing that is kind of cool about it. And I copied that color scheme. Black's easy. Obviously, it's not like, whoa, you came up with black,
Right.
It was just a black vehicle. But as far as like the color of the actual graphics on it, I had done a 33 Ford Roadster for the Grand National Roadster Show a few years before that. And I used the same color combination. So what that is, it's hot pink pearl. With violet faded around the edge. So you're seeing the pink pearl in the middle just looks like a lighter violet. So that was just kind of one of those like kind of cool almost tricks that you would do where, who the hell, what like macho guy would be all put pink on my truck, right? But it looks amazing, when you use it right. Dude. And he loved it. And I don't even think he knew it was hot pink pearl, just because the violet blends into the hot pink and makes it look like a lighter violet, But that's what that is. So anyway, I don't know. Let me think. Usually see for me, a lot of it is different things, not necessarily trucks. Some of the more involved as far as like time, would obviously be Rob's, the Krew Kut truck. That was like a ton of time. There was one that I did that was on the cover of, God, I'm probably wrong, but I think it was Street Trucks. It was that one with the dice all over it.
Yes.
It's like it's white.
Yeah, that was Tahoe.
Okay.
Or
see,
no,
that shows
actually,
you
I'm
what
sorry.
I know
No, you know what? I'm totally sorry. That was a C. That was a newer, new body style pickup, and it had like the yellow and blue and red with the dice, I think.
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
Yeah. Yep. I really liked that one. That one was fun. And then, and it was just like over the top. The jams were all done underneath everything. That was cool. I did a few cars for Sean. That no one ever saw.
Oh,
or I
really?
think maybe his Impala was probably in something. I want to say it was in Lowrider, but that was a cool one. But that wasn't a cover. Most people have never seen it. It was a brand new Impala at the time. And I did graphics all over it. And I did like the Impala, like the actual like Impala logo on the side was incorporated into the graphics. Then there's that freaking that excursion, the Sexcursion, the Craig owned.
Craig
that
Elder.
thing was nuts. I'm not going to tell you I look at it and think it's the most beautiful thing in the world, but God, that was a lot of time. I had help pinstripe in that one. A friend of mine, Kent, helped me pinstripe that over the course of like 2 nights, I think. But that was one of Craig Elder's where it was like, I want every inch of this thing covered, and that's what happened with it,
Yeah,
so
and what's crazy is that was on the cover of Street Trucks July 01. So like literally 20 years, like in a couple weeks, boom. And
but wasn't it before the Flames?
Yeah, I think you're right. Yep, you nailed it. It was before the Flames, and that just kind of goes to show you, Steve, like how because you dealt with them, but like this guy would build the craziest stuff, triple convoluted bags, big wheels, tires, all this, but then he would still be willing to go back. Like he just wouldn't sell it. He'd go back and do more work on it.
Do something else to it. Yeah, change the color or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, it was crazy. Now the red one, I know when we kind of had this conversation earlier in the week, but the red new body style Chevy, right? So these Chevys come out, and I forget if it was the first one totally done. It probably was. But you kind of had this unique story about the eyeball on the back, I think.
Oh, yeah, the one. Yeah, that one. Like I said, I'm someone that I don't know what truck is what.
Right,
I just know it had 4 wheels and a steering wheel. So with that one, I was going to do something kind of unique on the tailgate. So I wanted to do an eyeball on it, because I don't know. I couldn't even tell you why. It just looked kind of weird and just different, so, and it's kind of hot rod, having an eyeball, especially with wings, So I did the eyeball and had the kind of swirling fire going around it and whatever it was. And the coolest thing about that truck was, to my knowledge, and don't quote me on this because I could be wrong, but I want to say it's the first truck that Truckin ever put on their cover that was backwards.
Yeah, it was like the rear 3/4 shot, so you could literally see the eye.
And they'd never done, as far as I knew, they'd never done that. Everything was always facing you, and the reason they did that is because of that eyeball. They liked the eyeball.
Oh, it looked awesome.
And, cool thing.
And I don't have the issue in front of me, but I'd be willing to guess Brian McCormick shot it because it had that reflection, like, he was famous for doing. And it's cool because, the thing that I love about your work too is that, like, when you had shared some of these on your Instagram, it's S Vandeman, VAN Demon, you'll see that you got everything. And I know, again, you're not a guy of accolades, but like Truckin', sport trucks, street trucks, of course, we talked about, but like even like truck builder, and then you even had some cars, like to me, like the flame jobs on that green, like old school Impala, right? It almost has, like when I looked at it, I was like, damn, the colors almost like stood out to me like Krew Kut. Like, dude, that's some like epic stuff.
Rob's car. That's Rob's car.
Was Rob's car. Okay, that's the Impala you were talking about.
And notice the pinstriping is yellow.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, and it had the Master Image Customs, that famous kind of decal on the front.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good times.
I've done tons of cars and hot rods. They've been on covers. I was just putting up trucks,
right?
For your sake, basically. So you could see the truck stuff. And I think I put up maybe a couple of the cars.
Oh yeah. Well, someone like yourself that's been out like on the West Coast for a long time. You partnered, with like Craig Elder, right? On some of his projects. Any funny story or anything that you can remember, working with Craig? I know he probably was like, just get it done, right?
Craig was always all about, oh God, this has to be done by Monday.
He was like one of those guys. Yeah.
But see, for me, it's like back then I didn't really have any responsibilities. So I was like, yeah, let's do it. We worked till freaking late, like 2 a.m. or whatever, who cared, And he was always like that, but he was always, like I said before, he wanted everything covered. Like it was kind of a joke where, people would see stuff I had done for him and they'd look at it and go, oh, whoa, you're way too wild for me. And I'd be like, no, that's not me. I like to leave some dead space. I like some empty, I like some emptiness going on with the color. You got to leave some silence in the music, so, but he didn't want that. He wanted every inch of the damn thing covered. So that was one thing about him. There'd be a little spot. And you go, oh, let's put something right there. All right. Oh, yeah. Whatever. I don't care. It's not mine.
Well, our homie Penn even recently picked up. Craig had that famous crew cab, the lifted Ford. I mean, he had a bunch, but he had the yellow lifted one. And Penn recently picked it up, I think, at auction at Barrett Jackson. And, he's going to kind of curate that. And, he's been cruising it around. But, when I think about like M.I.C. and then you think about Craig Elder too, like those runs that they had with, not even, they may not even have been like trying to chalk it up. Like, we all know like Craig Elder was building some crazy shit. But, if you look back in history at the runs that these guys had, including Rob and team, dude, I mean, it's like epic stuff. I mean, how many features and covers and back covers? I mean, Street Trucks had M.I.C. full ad on the back, and of course I know there was the tie-in with the the truck giveaway and stuff. But dude, that's some epic shit, man.
Yeah, the yellow truck you're talking about, I did the boat. I don't know if you ever saw the boat, but there was a boat. It's I think it's an HTM, High Tech Marine, is what it was. I did the boat way before the truck.
Oh, really?
And then he brought the truck. And I did the truck, and that was one of the few vehicles I ever did for him where I didn't cover it because I wanted it to look kind of have a cool look to it. I didn't want it to be like smothered in those little flames. So if you look at it, it's got less on it, and that's why. And that like tandem has kind of a funny story. So I don't know what magazine it ended up in, but it was in a magazine with the flames on the boat, and I think it might have had pictures of the flames on the truck. I don't remember if it was before or after.
Yeah, it was the table of contents in Street Truck. So the boat had the flames, and then the truck did.
And it said, so he had some other shop, like paint shop, do all the prep. So they sanded it and brought it to me. Then I did all the graphics. They took it back and cleared it. Right. I couldn't tell you who they were. I don't care. Doesn't matter. but in that magazine it says graphics and flames or whatever it is done by that shop. It doesn't even have my name on it.
Oh, really? And see, that's like the worst thing you can do.
That's
for a
one of
painter.
those. That's one of those things where you see it, and back then, of course, it bothered me. Now I couldn't care less. And the way I look at it now is, who got paid to do those?
Yeah.
Me.
Yeah.
So if it really makes you feel good saying you did it, but you didn't get paid because I did, I remember getting the cash in my hand, so it all comes down to that sometimes. You just got to let it go. But if you want to take credit for something you didn't do, you go right ahead, but I'm the one that got paid.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that was the March 02 issue, and it had the table of contents. I mean, when we had Brian McCormick on, dude, someone I really look up to, he talked about having that unique opportunity to be able to shoot Craig's stuff and things like that.
Yeah.
And to me, it was pretty awesome. But it seems like, though, too, that where you lived and where you were centrally located, and obviously you had the success with the first, stuff that you did that landed on the cover. You met Rob, you obviously met Craig and stuff like that. Being out there in California in that area, like you started, like you mentioned when that area of California was known for hot rods and all that stuff, it seemed like that was also like another thing that helped you kind of get to, where you were, because, you knew these guys and you did damn good work.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. I mean, it totally helped out, the funny thing is, like, now, on occasion, I'll still do work on like hot rods and stuff like that. Like the shop that I'm at, is a hot rod shop. So we got, we're doing a dragster right now, full blown, I don't know what class it is, but it's like a hardcore, real deal dragster. We're doing that. So I still do that stuff, but anymore, it's kind of nice because I can pick and choose what I wanted to do. Whereas back then, I did anything that came along, and some of my clients are like just off the wall as far as who they are and what they did, and some of the people I've met. It's so funny. Like, I'll give you for instance. So you remember the show Magnum PI, right?
Oh yeah.
So one of my best friends now, and it's because it's through automotive, like hot rod stuff. He was a director for Magnum PI.
Oh, like we're talking the OG show in the 80s. Yeah.
Yeah. So he was one of the directors, and he was on the show for, I think, 7 years. And, he's become a really good friend of mine. And he was also, when he retired, because he's been retired for quite a few years, he was the president of Universal Studios.
Holy shit.
So not the tour, I'm talking the filming studio. So he was like a big wig, in the movie industry, and he's a good, like, I could call him right now and shoot the shit with him. So people like that, just the area I'm in, I used to do stuff for Tommy Lee and Pamela Anderson back in the day. I used to do a lot of stuff for them, actually. And Von Dutch Originals, when that first started, I don't know if you even know what that is.
Oh yeah, I remember.
It's funny because around here, you do have some cool people that you'll meet, kind of off the wall, almost like they're celebrities, but they're, it's not like Tom Cruise, what I mean? It's just kind of off the wall stuff.
Yeah, and I always thought too, like Huntington Beach, and you often hear that with the Chip Foose tie-in, and a lot of TV shows were kind of down in that area.
He was here last week.
Oh, really? Oh, wow, dude.
I mean, he's here because they're, these guys, Ron is friends with them, and they do stuff with them all the time. I don't, I just say hi.
Yeah, you got your own stuff. Yeah, because, you've been around a lot of these guys, so you're not like, whatever. But to me, though, that California area, I know Jimmy Shine and even
Yeah, he was in my way earlier. I think I told you that.
That's crazy. And then, like, even there was also the Hollywood Hot Rods. I think I was talking to Joey, I think recently, for Joey and Heather. He was out there, like, all these different shops, and there's so much history out there. And even with the high prices of California and stuff, it just seems like hot rods are it's a part of America. It's who we are, trucks especially, and it's cool that all these years later, all that stuff is still thriving like it was.
Oh, yeah. These guys are throwing hundreds of thousands of dollars on their cars. It's funny.
Yeah, a guy that I know was John Cashman. I had him on my Lincoln Attic podcast. He is friends with Jay Leno. And he went on the show, and he is the guy that does all the convertible tops. And he got Jay's a white 66 going, and he just said, he's like, yeah, I've known Jay over the years. And he said, like he'd call and say, hey, John, I need you to come work. Hey, no problem. I'm over in Palm Springs. I'll be over. And, the car community, as you know, man, is when you get to a certain level, I mean, there's just a lot of good people.
Yeah, I was just at Jay's shop about 8 months ago or so.
Ah, wow, that's sick, dude.
If you ever get a chance to see his place, it's very impressive.
Killer, man. Yeah, I'd love to one day. Just a couple more things because we want to value your time. Did you ever get a chance to really like work side by side with Courtney, like doing tech articles, or did you ever know Courtney Hollowell or any of those kind of mini truck guys?
I knew him back then only through Craig and Dion.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it was just kind of like we were like, hey, what's up? Kind of thing. I didn't hang out with him or anything like that.
Well, here's something cool for you. I had a guy named Cal Smith on the podcast. And Cal was out from here, and funny enough, his name is Cal, Kal.
Okay.
And he went on to tell me stories, not on the podcast, but like how he goes, I remember meeting Craig and Dion and these guys like at the infancy, like before they even started Cal Concepts, and he was like talking about how kind of like you were saying, like you've known Craig a long time. And I thought it was pretty interesting because like they even had similar styles. Like there's a couple famous trucks out here that he painted and cars, and you kind of look at it and you go, wow, and they arguably at Cal Concepts they created this awesome, kind of West Coast flair. But I also like what you've done over the years, and really also when I see a lot of what K Daddy does. He obviously does these crazy flames and stuff, and really flames never seem to go out.
Yeah. I mean. Anymore, it's like it's better because you're not doing 10 of them at the same time. For me, anyway. So when I do a flame job on something, it's pretty unique because again, I'm not doing like back in the day. You're doing 10, 15 of them at the same time.
Oh yeah.
Flame jobs on trucks and cars and all that. But what you said about Craig and Dion, without a doubt, they pretty much set the look. Which is funny because of that damn truck.
Look.
They set the look for all that stuff, and for me, that was the epitome of all of it. Was all the stuff that they and still do. They still do that stuff. And all that came from Craig scribbling on his freaking notepad. He was the one that drew all that stuff. Frazier was the one that drew all that stuff with felt tip pens and pencils, and he would do all those renderings, just on a piece of paper. He never used a computer back then, and he should get credit for that 100%. He's on Mount Rushmore. If not, he has his own Mount Rushmore where there's 4 of him. And Dion obviously is part of that. My thing was, I didn't want to Emmy because I could have easily just copied what they were doing, but I would have felt like an idiot. For one thing, because it's obvious if you're just copying them. So I kind of just figured out, wow, I'm real good at doing these flame things and my own style. So, I just started doing that. And there are a few instances where I did quote, like Cal Concepts, Air Syndicate style stuff here and there. But, I always want to make sure people who don't know, I want to make sure they know, well, here's where that came from,
Exactly.
They obviously already know. You don't need to tell them,
Oh yeah.
But the people who don't, they've never seen it. You're like, oh yeah, this guy that I know, Craig, created that whole look.
Exactly, and it's cool because one of my best friends, Josh Ellis, he owns the. There was the Look That Kills. Well, he owns. So there was their last look, but he owns the Look That Kills, and his friend, owned it.
That one like orange? Okay, yeah.
Exactly. And, it's funny because that VHS tape that I mentioned earlier, like I have video from the day that Steve went there and they were like finishing that truck up and you see all the trend stuff in there and, you see Dion and I know K Daddy and like you see the work that they were doing and still all these years later and they're still thriving and they're still doing stuff like even like you are. It's really, really awesome. And I kind of wanted to transition and kind of wind down, but I wanted to ask you, you hinted earlier kind of at what you do now, Steve, but, can you kind of share with the listeners, like, what you do for your kind of daily job?
Well, it's pretty much on, for the most part, it's kind of the same thing. It's just on different things, so all the, like the techniques as far as like the body work and the prep and the paint and, the pinstriping and airbrushing and lettering and all that stuff, spraying things different colors and all that. It's pretty much the same techniques. The difference is now primarily what I do is I do antique restoration. So when I say that, usually people think antiques, they think like little things that are in your kitchen,
Right.
or, sitting in the corner of your garage or whatever. Well, what I do is I have people that it's easy just to call them best thing to call them would be a car collector, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's people that have lots and lots of cars. I don't mean like someone has 4 or 5 cars or even 20 cars. I'm talking hundreds and hundreds. Like Jay Leno is a car collector, right?
Right. Oh, yeah.
So what I do is I don't necessarily usually deal with the cars or trucks themselves, other than maybe like repairing like touch-ups or lettering. Like sometimes some of the old trucks will have lettering on them or striping or whatever. What I do is the stuff that goes in the car collection. So for instance, the signs, the machines, the gas pumps. My bigger clients they have gas stations. And I'm not talking about like they own a Chevron or a 76. I'm talking they own like old, like from the teens, from the 20s, original gas stations. They're not functioning gas stations. They're just, on display. And we restore all that kind of stuff, and I'm talking like the best way to put it is I curate museums for billionaires.
Oh, yeah.
So that's kind of what I do now is, these guys that have more money than God, and they collect all this stuff and I make it look pretty.
Yeah, they call that oftentimes like automobilia. I think I say it wrong.
Automobilia, Americana. Yeah.
Yep.
And a lot of it, like for instance, the biggest client I have, his biggest place is the size of Costco. Do you guys have Costco out there?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Dude, those things are huge.
Think of a Costco filled like beyond belief with just hundreds of millions of dollars and stuff, right? So there's that. And then there's, if anyone's ever seen like Jay Leno's place on TV, that kind of stuff. He has generally like hand painted stuff on the walls as opposed to the signage and stuff. He does have a lot of like steam engines and stuff like that. But, I'm just talking about all this stuff, that goes with all this, the automotive stuff. And we just started recently getting a lot of shipments in from Europe. So I'm doing a lot of European stuff now, as far as like just machines and gas pumps and, all the stuff that goes with cars and trucks and all that. I've done tractors and horse-drawn carriages, aircraft, World War II vehicles.
Dude, that's insane. Well, think about this. A couple years ago, I think it was Barrett Jackson. They had a guy. These guys will get older and they'll get to a certain point where they either want to downsize or they go, "Hey, I'm ready for my stuff." And they did a big auction. Well, this year, I remember hearing it earlier this year. It says something about like a guy named Larry Winkler.
Okay.
Like he has some amazing collection of like all kinds of this automobilia stuff, and that stuff's going to go up for auction. But to me, to be able to like amass that amount of stuff and those signs, as and those gas pumps and stuff like that stuff is like, people are addicted to it. But there's nothing like going into a museum or someone's collection. I haven't really seen a lot in person, and you see all that stuff. You're just like, dude, freaking mind blown.
Oh yeah. Yeah. The big one that I deal with is probably the nicest one of its kind.
Wow.
I mean, it's mind blowing.
Yeah. That's pretty cool.
But like, I'll give you an idea. It's like the most expensive sign that I know of that's over here was $350,000 unrestored.
Wow. Unrestored.
Yeah. And it's one side. It's just a one-sided sign. It was $350 unrestored.
Yeah. That's insane. Like, do you think back, just in kind of, winding down, like when you think back to all the stuff that you've done, I mean, you obviously have a ton of stuff ahead of you in what you do. But, do you look back and just say, wow, man, like it was an awesome ride? Or, hey, I forgot everything, almost everything I did, like not really, but you know what I mean? Like, what's your sentiment as far as all of the success that you've had, man?
No, it's all been fun, really. I mean, the weird thing is like people, when they figure out kind of what I do, and it's a wide variety of stuff, I mean, it really is, I mean, I used to paint I do people's shoes, I'd paint your shoes if you wanted, whatever. It's just fun, and the way that I put it, I mean, obviously the coolest thing is trying to, make sure you got all that stuff together to show the kids someday, they look at it now and they're like, oh yeah, that's cool. Maybe someday they'll be a little more into it. But here's the thing about it is I usually say this when people ask me about what I do, I'll say, man, it beats the hell out of digging ditches.
Yes. Yeah. There could be a lot worse stuff you're doing.
Yeah. I get to paint weird shit on people's cars.
Yeah,
It's fun.
whatever they want, exactly. Now, why don't you give a shout out to your family if you want? I know your son recently. I think you're kind of going through all the normal, stuff that happens to dad or not dads and grads. Well, dads this month, but the grad stuff. Anything you wanted to share?
Yeah, my son Aiden, he just graduated high school, and he received a presidential award for academic excellence.
Wow, that's
cool.
awesome! Congrats to him, man.
Oh, thank you. He's a math genius. And then my daughter, she's 12, and she'll be going into 7th grade, and she's learning to play the guitar, which is really
nice.
And
yeah.
I am a musician as well as all this other stuff. And I play right now. I'm not playing original music.
Mm-hmm.
Right at this moment, it's the funniest thing. I'm playing in a Led Zeppelin tribute band. Right.
Damn.
And I'm a bass player, so I've been playing bass for 41 years. And my guitar player in the Led Zeppelin tribute band, go figure, he's a guitar teacher. So he's teaching her how to play guitar, which is pretty cool,
That's insane. And just so your daughter doesn't feel left out, what was her name?
Araya.
Okay, awesome.
Like Mariah without the M. Araya.
Araya and Aiden. So cool, man.
Yep. And she's crazy. She is just she's nuts. She's just like the funniest thing on the planet.
Yeah, that's crazy. Real quick, too, you had told me when we had talked before, so I know you said you're kind of doing the tribute stuff now, but you were also in a band like back in the day.
I've been in lots of bands back in the day.
Yeah, so one was called Function, right?
Yeah. Function was probably, if I have to look back, it was probably my favorite band I've played in. Because, we used to play with the Chili Peppers and Cypress Hill and, God, I couldn't even tell you who else. A bunch of other, Weezer. Yeah. God, I'd have to think. We used to play bands.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And if no one's watched it, you just made me think of something like with Cypress Hill, but Netflix, they did that when it came out. We had talked about it on the podcast a lot, but it was called LA Originals, right? And if you've never seen it, you got to sit down and watch it. It's these guys that are amazing artists and photographer, and they've been together for like a long time. But they grew up in that era of Cypress Hill. It's Mr. Cartoon, who I'm sure you know, and then Estevan Oriol. I forget how to say his name, but those guys were tied in with Delinquent Habits and Cypress and all that stuff. And I tell you, every time I watch it, I'm like, dude, that shit, I just love. I love it all, man.
Part of it was tattoos.
Yes,
those guys, they were tattoo artists, or are still.
Yep. Yeah, and they've tattooed a lot of people, but man, like it's been a pleasure, dude. For you giving us some time, because like I said, you've been on the list a long time, and I know there's a lot of other people out there that they're probably like, oh man, we're gonna get to everybody. I promise that, but like when you think back, and you think back and you bring up all these memories, and we talked a little bit about Craig Elder and all the stuff you've done and some of the projects that you've had your hands on, man. I just want to say thanks, dude, for literally kind of blessing us with some of these stories, man.
No, it was awesome to finally meet you,
Yeah, man.
So we've been going back and forth, for a while, and it's very cool to finally talk to you. It's awesome.
It's a good trip down memory lane. We'll be sharing, of course, some of the past magazine features and stuff. And, again, from us, just as truck enthusiasts, we're no better than the next guys. We just love this stuff, but we say salute to you, man, because like I said, we always want to pay homage to the old school, because without guys, I know, this might sound cliche, but without guys like you and Sean Mahaney, rest in peace, and so many others, we may not be where we are with the truck scene today. So, on behalf of, everyone out there, thanks, homie.
I appreciate the hell. That is too cool.
Yeah, you got it. And best of luck to your son, Aiden, as he ventures on in life, your daughter, of course, Araya, and then your fam, dude. Keep doing what you do, Steve.
I appreciate that. Have a great rest of your day. I know your day is almost over, I guess.
Yeah, man. I'll put some Knight Rider on, fall asleep. I'm good to go.
Have a good rest of your night, and it was very cool talking to you.
Appreciate you, Steve. Yo, so there you have it. It's a wrap. Thank you so much to Steve Vandeman for coming on. Now, I do want to correct one thing that I said. I did not have that December 2000 issue handy that had the red full size. It was dubbed the first body dropped 2000 truck. Of course, it was on the December 2000 cover. Now, I mentioned, just going off of memory and some photos that I had, found online, that I thought that BMC, Brian McCormick, would have shot it. But doing the research, coming back, of course, I did find that Mr. Wes Allison, dude, one of the all-time great photographers, he did shoot that. So we'll be sharing some of the video of, the magazine, and you know how we do. So that'll be coming at you guys through social media. But, dude, there's a couple other things that I meant to ask Steve, so hopefully maybe we can get him back on just for a couple of minutes in the coming weeks. And I know a few people I had posted in the Airhead Nation group, they had a couple of questions, and I didn't see those in time, so I didn't get to those. But I bet you Steve will give us about 10, 15 minutes and be able to answer a couple of other questions. But we'll sync back with them. Again, you heard me at the beginning. Mike and I, we kind of got tied up, and we didn't really talk a lot about Father's Day weekend. But this weekend, again, kick back and do what you do, enjoy it. And if your dad's still here, as I mentioned at the beginning, spend some time with him, call him, and just cherish all of that time you have. So with that being said, Scraping the Coast is next weekend. We'll see you in Biloxi, and we may try to get that episode out a little bit early next week. ODB, the mayor, stay on the rise. We at you. Peace.